Hi, welcome back. Today we are outside at the chicken coop and collecting eggs, and I thought today would be a good day to share with you guys how we subsidize the cost of owning chickens by selling our chicken eggs. So first I wanted to give you a little rundown on our chicken coop and how we got our chickens and tell you a little more about that. So I'm going to flip you around here and show you the chicken coop. Okay, so we moved into our house 4 years ago, and it came with this chicken coop here. So without the run on it, it's this is the chicken coop, and it did have a small run, as you can still see here on the paint. There was a small run that just went around the corner of the chicken coop. A couple years ago, my husband and his dad added on this beautiful run here, and nice enclosed covered roof for the winter. And then my husband also built this coop as we started adding more smaller pullets to the bunch. So when we moved here, we didn't have chickens. We had never had chickens, but had heard of a lady on Facebook who could no longer keep her chickens. She had about 20 chickens or so that she was trying to get rid of. So my husband and my daughter went over there and they picked out, I guess, 5 chickens at that time, and they brought them home. They were probably about 3 years old at the time, and they were still laying, and we had 5 chickens. So we were learning about chickens and what they needed, and we were just loving them. And then the next, about a year later, we decided we wanted more. So we have little kids, and we thought it would be fun to take them down and get some chicks. So we went down, and we were planning on getting about 12 chickens, I believe, at the time to add, because the other chickens were kind of aging out. They were no longer laying, and we thought we had the space to do that after we built this run. And so we went down and ended up getting 17. So we now had 17, 18, 19, 20, 20 a lot of chickens. So so then we had a good amount of chickens, and we were excited to be learning about raising them. And there was expenses involved with baby chicks. We had to at first we just used those plastic tubs. We kept the baby pullets in those. We did have to buy some heat lamps, smaller feeding containers, and water containers for the chicks so they don't fall in and drown. So you do need specific items for those. But we figured it all out, and then as they grew, I think they were about 8 weeks or so, they were ready to move into a bigger brooder. So my husband ended up having to build a big brooder for them. There were 17 of them. They were outgrowing those tubs so fast. So he built them a big brooder, and that costed money as well. So I'm not going to get into all the costs of every single thing that we are needing for chickens at the moment, but I'm just going to give you guys a rundown of what we spend on an average month for our chickens. And then I'm going to let you know how much I'm making by selling our eggs, and if it's worth it to have chickens. It's definitely a lot of work, and you know, something that you really have to enjoy to make it worth it, because you definitely can buy eggs at the store and, you know, save the money on building a chicken coop or buying or building a smaller chicken coop like this one. But they are worth it if you want the experience of having chickens. So we added this year, 9 baby pullets. So we wanted a couple more white chickens, and we have green eggers, we have brown eggers. We recently got Americanas over there that are gonna lay some pretty blue eggs, and they are just so much fun. We have this little tiny chicken who's just not growing so much over there in the middle. But we just love her, and we are taking good care of her, trying to help her grow big. like the other chickens. There she comes right there. She's like the bravest chicken that we have. So, so I'm going to take you back and I'm going to show you a little bit about how I package our eggs and tell you a little more about how I've found people to buy the eggs and how much money we're making. So stick around. Okay, so we realized pretty quickly that we were going to have to start selling our eggs because chickens lay about an egg a day and our kids were very little and we were just not eating that many eggs. I bake a lot. But we were just not using nearly enough eggs. So we first started off trying to sell our eggs to our neighbors and friends. We were selling them for $4 a dozen, I believe, at the time, but it was just not enough. And we quickly learned that we were going to have to figure out a way to sell some of these eggs. You know, I did consider water glass canning eggs and pickling eggs, and we've done a little bit of that, but there was just so many, and the expenses of the chickens were getting up there with the amount of chickens that we have. So so eventually I met a neighbor who sells eggs, and then soon after that our community actually started a booth at the farmer's market. So once we started that, she was able to purchase all the eggs that I could give her because they were just going pretty fast at the farmer's market. So in order to have a booth at our local farmer's market, there is a fee involved to be there and to sell eggs. I have 3 little kids, my husband works, and I just was not able to be there every Saturday, most of the day. So she is buying the eggs from me and then selling them at the market. And that is working out really well for me. So I'm kind of the distributor here, where I sell them to her for $4 a dozen, and she goes to the market and sells them for, I believe, $6. She also typically gives me egg cartons. I have other neighbors and friends who give me egg cartons, but she has been giving me the most of my egg cartons. You can also buy egg cartons. These are all full of eggs. We have so many to sell this week. She typically picks them up on Sundays, so we have a lot to sell this time. And that is all the egg cartons I have right now. We can even purchase egg cartons. They're typically about $1 a carton, depending on where you go. You might be able to find a better deal on cartons, but it is definitely better if you can find them from a friend, or if the person maybe you're selling them to friends and neighbors, if they can just return the egg cartons and then you just refill them for them, would keep the cost down of their eggs and your costs of supplies. So I'm going to give you a little breakdown of how much it costs us to own chickens on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, not including the cost of building our chicken coop and our run, or buying our chickens, or the cost of owning baby chickens and buying heat lamps and electricity. There are those expenses as well, but that is going to vary greatly on the amount of chickens you have and the price of the chickens, which varies so much. Last year chickens were like $3.50. This year we're going to get chickens, and chickens were up to $10 for a chicken. So the cost, everything varies so much every year. But I'm just going to give you a breakdown of what we're spending every month to feed our chickens, to clean the chicken coop, the cost of the supplies, and how much I'm bringing in by selling our eggs. So what we have is the cost of our chickens is $13 for a bale of straw, and that typically will last us about 3 months. We use the straw bale to line the egg where they lay their eggs, the nesting boxes. So we don't use a ton of straw every month. It doesn't always need to be replaced, because most of the time the chicks don't poop in their boxes. They just go in there, they lay the eggs, they stay pretty clean. but they do kind of kick it out and it needs to be replaced and refilled. Another expense we have is the pine chips that we use to line the chicken coop and the baby coop and the main coop. And so those cost $30 for 7 yards, and we will go through that much every month, cleaning out the chicken coops a couple times a month. And then the pullet food is about $20 for a 20-pound bag. They're smaller. We have 9 of them right now. We have 17 hens and 9 pullets. And so yeah, they're going through their bag about every 2 months. And our hens, currently, their food is $25 a month when they're free ranging. They go through about one $25 bag, 20-pound bag of feed every month, because we let them out in the morning. They're free ranging all day. They will find worms and grass, and sometimes I will give them scraps from our kitchen and stuff as well. So in the winter time, it is closer to $50 a month, even if I'm giving them food and other things. They tend to eat more, and they're not free ranging, so they're hungrier. So as far as the total cost for owning our chickens monthly, it ranges between $70 in the summer to $95 a month in the winter months. And that's not including electricity for heat lamps and stuff, because that is only when you have pullets, and that's just a short time when we use heat lamps. We don't use heat lamps in the winter. They have an insulated coop, and they stay nice and warm inside there. So as far as our income goes, we sell our eggs for $4 a dozen, and we typically will sell about 5 to 8 dozen eggs every month. So that gives us about $100 to $150 a month, and I will say an average of $125 a month selling eggs. And we only can sell our eggs from about April, maybe March, about March until October, because those are the months that they're really laying their eggs. We might get a few before, a few after, but as far as having enough to sell, those are the months when we would be selling our eggs. So November, December, January, February, they're not laying very many eggs. So our profit from selling our eggs, so the total cost of our chickens would be between $70 to $95 a month, and we're taking in about $125 on average every month. So that leaves us about $55 a month profit, which really just helps cover the months when we are not able to sell eggs. So definitely, they're not free eggs. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money to take care of the chickens, but they've been so much fun. They're wonderful pets. Our children love them, and we are just gonna keep having chickens as long as we can. So they have just been such a great addition to our homestead, and we are so happy with owning chickens, and our kids just love them so much, and they're learning so much about taking care of animals and learning where their food comes from, that it's been just all positive for us. And so we love them, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.